Today I want to talk about coming home. We're going to talk about 6 ways to defeat depression, anxiety and guilt through coming home. Hello everyone. If you've ever seen the Billy Madison film with Adam Sandler, that's right, there's a hilarious thing where he hits the ball and he's being told by the golf instructor the ball needs to go to its home, the hole is its home, and Billy Madison hits the ball and it rolls, it just misses, doesn't get to the hole, at which he screams, "Get in the hole, ball, don't you like your home, ball?" And it's very, very funny, and obviously Adam Sandler does it a lot better. But it makes me laugh because I think about it quite often that yes, there is a place called home where you're safe, and it's not a physical location, and it's somewhere you can go to beat anxiety, guilt and depression. We'll talk about it today. So as always, I'm going to begin with a quote, and that quote is, "If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you're at peace, you are living in the present." Lao Tzu. Now I'm going to read that one more time. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. Now, it's really important to understand that we can deal with things like depression by understanding their root causes. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. You can't be anxious about things that already happened because you know the outcome. You're only ever anxious about things you're thinking of in the future. And if you're at peace, you're living in the present. The incredible Lao Tzu. And Lao Tzu, for those who haven't seen my video on Taoism, he's not a real dude. It actually stands for the old man. And it's really cool that he's not really a real dude. He's more of a collection of consciousness that's been attributed to this incredible book called the Tao Te Ching. And a lot of people, might think less of Taoism because it doesn't have a true founder or someone they can work out his birth date and, make pictures of. But isn't it that much cooler that it's really just all us humans getting together and coming up with an idea and just labeling it or attributing it to another author? So these are my personal steps, and this is really personal right now. I'm going to talk to you about when anxiety or anxiousness or guilt come at me, because they exist and they're coming at me, and people try and lay it on me as well. What do I do to be a person who can be more compassionate, more understanding? And number one, I come home. Where is home? Home is now. Whatever is around me right now is home. And whenever I'm thinking about stress that might be coming up in the future, or I'm worried about something in the past, I simply say to myself, come home. And it's such an incredible technique. I immediately come into my surroundings and the problems disappear. This is my safe zone. When I am here in the present, there's only going to be one time that I don't have what I need to be equipped for what's going to happen in the present, and that is the second I die. But that's 1 second out of an entire life. I will not die and I'll be fine with everything around me. Number 2, space travel can be dangerous. Think about this, because I really do. I think a lot about this. Whenever you think, you leave, and sometimes it even physically feels like you leave your body and you go into another setting. So let's say you worry about a meeting. You sort of leave your body and your mind, and now you're in a meeting, you're standing there with a tie and you're talking and how things are going to work out. Now, you have left your body. Your mind has created this other place that you are, and I think that's a dangerous place. Space travel is dangerous, astronauts know that. And when you leave your body, I have this feeling that all the anxiety, stress and depression that may circle around in energetic levels has a chance to attach to you, and it can get you there. And that's why we can only be depressed in the past and anxious in the future, because that involves time travel, space travel. So don't space travel, stay at home, stay with your body. Number 3, the breath, prana, life force. No matter how many myths I hear about multitasking, it has been conclusively shown your brain can only have one thought at a time, a conscious thought at a time. Now, yes, we can talk on a cell phone and walk, but that's learned behaviours that have to do with a body mechanism, not a thought. You can't think about walking and thinking about talking, you will fall over. And understanding that breath is one thought. To think about your breath requires your brain to think about a subconscious situation, and if you breathe, and the Dalai Lama reckons 21 breaths is enough, come back to your breath, breathe, and 2 things will happen. 1, you'll stop thinking about the other thing because you think about the breath, and then you'll activate the parasympathetic network in your body, which is the calming response. It's the opposite to the fight and flight response. Number 4, reflections of reality. So it's really important to understand that when we become depressed or guilty or anxious, we are interpreting our reality in a way through a narrative or a story which gives it value. So for example, you've broken your leg and you're in hospital, and you are looking through the prism of this being the worst thing that's ever happened to you. Now, you know that it's probably not the worst thing that's ever happened to you, and you know your leg will heal, but you are shutting out those versions of reality, which is one, it's not the worst thing in the world, and two, my leg will heal and I'll be fine. You're having to shut them out to focus intently on your reflection of reality, which is simply that right now I want to focus on this being the worst thing in the world. And understanding those reflections, those mirrors that are held up to you, are your decision. And we quite often, Brad, say, well, we live in the real world. Well, show me the real world. Every atom in this real world is 99.9% empty space. It's the mindset, the reflection. And the way I see it is that we have the universe as a mirror. And if you don't like what the universe is doing, change the angle of the mirror and see it in a different way. Number 5, this too shall pass. The great story of the king who asked for an amulet that would help him live a life, with stress-free life. And he was given a ring that said, this too shall pass. It's such a great story because everything will pass. The worst day of your life will end, and the best day of your life will end. So you can be the silent witness, the observer, the constant consciousness that gets to hang out and do all this cool stuff. And know that no matter how bad it is, it's going to end, so don't freak out. And no matter how good it is, you need to savor it because that will end too. And finally, this is something that has revolutionized my life. When the voice in the head starts jibber-jabbing, and I don't care what it's about. Like for me, if the voice in my head starts going, oh, tomorrow, you really should get these things done, I'll just answer with maybe. If I'm in my car and I haven't got access to my phone or a pen to write things down, I'll just answer with maybe. I don't want to get into long discussions with this phantom voice in my head, which I know ultimately has some sort of sick, twisted ability to make me feel bad. I don't think many people have a voice in their head that talks long enough is really, really positive. I think a lot of the time they start delving into some deep stuff. So I'm not going to listen. The same way I wouldn't listen to someone who was just, screaming at me on the street that I was no good. I wouldn't fight them either. I wouldn't say, yes, I'm very good. I would just say, yeah, whatever, maybe. And that's what I say to the thought. So when a thought comes into my head, I answer with maybe. And then I get back to doing with what's really happening in the real world. Guilt, depression, anxiety are real. They can be really beaten as well. These are my techniques. They really work for me. I'm glad I could share them with you. Give them a try. Go through these steps and see if there's any. Don't space travel. Come back to home. Watch Billy Madison if you have to. It's something to think about, and I can't wait to see you till tomorrow. Until then, goodbye.